Hello, my name is Wendy Calvert. Thank you for joining me to listen to my presentation about Pierre sequence. How many of you here know what Pierre sequence is? Not very many. I did not know what Pierre sequence was either until I had my second child who was born with Pierre sequence, and that was in 1997. According to the Children's Craniofacial Association of 2008, the incidence of Pierre sequence happens in 1 in 8,500 to 14,000 births. Pierre sequence is equally common among both sexes. Research suggests that most babies born with Pierre sequence have difficulties with breathing and or feeding because of an obstruction of their airway and or because of a cleft palate. The two main points that I would like to speak with you about today are Pierre sequence causing the difficulties with breathing and feeding due to an obstruction of the airway, and secondly, almost always there's a cleft palate associated with Pierre sequence. Here going forward, I will call Pierre sequence PRS. You probably cannot see my visual aid, but according to the IUHealth.org 2008, you would not be able to tell most babies as they grow older with who have PRS. If you look on the smaller one, which is the same as up on the wall, babies with PRS have a soft cleft palate. You will see the U-shaped opening, and also they will have micrognathia, which is where their chin is sunk back. It has not fully developed, and it sits back further than what a normal child would. Babies born with PRS have an obstruction of their airway due from their tongue falling back in their throat, a smaller jaw, and a cleft palate, according to the IU.org 2016. Babies with PRS are also prone to sleep apnea, which can cause serious problems to their health. Some babies have it worse than others. Some babies get to come home on a breathing machine, not a breathing machine, a machine that you would hook up to your baby when you put them to bed. That will let you know that if they stop breathing, therefore it will sound off an alarm, and you will go reposition the baby to make sure that they are breathing, and everything should be fine. You should never lay a baby with PRS on their back, as this will cause their tongue to fall back into their throat, and it will mess with their airway to where they cannot breathe. The exact cause of PRS is unknown. External factors would crowd the fetus and interfere with the growth of their lower jaw may contribute to PRS. Certain neurological conditions which lead to decreased jaw movement in utero can also restrict the jaw growth. In addition, some studies demonstrate that there are genetic basis for PRS, according to the Children's Craniofacial Association in 2008. PRS can also be seen in other syndromes, including Stickler and velocardiofacial syndromes. Stickler syndrome is the most common syndrome associated with PRS, according to the Children's Craniofacial Association of 2008. Now, the second point is the cleft palate. The cleft palate, they have many difficulties themselves just in that alone. A cleft palate is where the roof of the mouth does not form and there is a U-shaped opening. This contributes to multiple problems. One of the problems that you have with a cleft palate is feeding the baby. Therefore, you must feed the baby with a cleft palate with it sitting straight up. If you look at this picture again with the IU.org from 2008, this is how you should feed a baby. They should be sitting straight up. With a baby that has PRS, it is difficulty feeding these babies because you have to cut an X in the top of the nipple. Some babies, you have to order special bottles. I know from my own experience with my daughter, I had to buy special bottles that I could actually squeeze the formula into her mouth. Because when you have a cleft palate, you have that opening and they cannot suck. Babies cannot suck if they have that hole up there because there's nothing to press their tongue against in order to get the formula out of the bottle. So therefore, you must squeeze very little formula into their mouth in order for them to be fed. Most babies, I know from my own experience, my daughter was in the hospital the first 17 days of her life, and she had to have a nasogastric tube, which was a tube that went through her nose down to her stomach in order for them to feed her while she was there in the hospital. We would try to give her pacifiers to try to get her to learn to suck. It was very hard to do. She did not take to that very well at all. We did get to take her home finally, therefore I had to use the special bottles. Most babies with the cleft palates, they will have speech problems as they grow older and they start to learn to talk. So therefore they need to go to speech therapy. Also, according to the Cleft Palate Foundation in 1999, virtually all children with cleft palates are prone to build up a fluid behind the eardrum. This is due to the jaw being set back, things not forming correctly. There's a sequence in everything. Therefore, that is why this is called Pierre sequence, and it's not a syndrome. It can be associated with a syndrome, and therefore your baby normally would have to go to a geneticist who would be able to tell you if your child has the Stickler syndrome or the velocardiofacial syndromes. The cleft palate is usually repaired. The cleft palate is usually repaired by surgery when the child is between 9 and 24 months old, according to iuhealth.org 2008. It is very important that if you have a child who has PRS, that they see a team of special doctors. This team of doctors, there are several doctors that your child would have to see because there are a lot of difficulties that your child will go through, but more than likely they will grow out of it. As with my daughter, she is now 18 years old. She is a beautiful, very bright and talented girl. So I believe that as parents and parents-to-be, we have a wonderful opportunity to learn about all medical issues that can arise when we have our children. A lot of things that you will not even know exist. I believe it is the parent's responsibility to do a whole bunch of research. Just about anybody can get on the internet and find out all kinds of different medical problems that there are out there. Just to let yourself be aware of these and to know that anything can happen during birth or when you are having your child. Thank you for listening to me about Pierre sequence. I hope you find it very informative. Thanks.